Okay, so welcome everyone to this deep dive. And today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting, a little bit controversial maybe, but definitely something that's been making waves. And it all revolves around, none other than Elon Musk.
Oh, Elon Musk always seems to find his way into the headlines, doesn't he?
He really does. And this time it involves a gesture he made, an arm gesture.
Right.
And it was at a rally, Trump's post-inauguration rally, to be exact. Which, by the way, this rally was attended by Israeli hostage families, and Trump was, speaking about peacemaking in the Middle East at the time. And, this gesture, some are comparing it to the Nazi salute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's caused quite a stir.
I can imagine, especially with everything going on, with the heightened anxiety in the Jewish community after the Israel-Hamas war and with anti-Semitism seemingly on the rise. I mean, this is sensitive territory.
It really is. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We want to, try to unpack everything, look at it from all sides, see all the different perspectives, and try to understand it within the context of, everything that's going on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's important to have these conversations and try to make sense of these things.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess let's start with the gesture itself. What do we know about it? Like, what exactly did Musk do?
So from what I've seen, he raised his arm and, he did it twice.
He did it twice.
Twice. And many people online, almost immediately, they were saying that it looked like a Nazi salute.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can only imagine the kind of the reaction.
Yeah, I bet that sparked some outrage.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's important for us to, understand why that comparison is so, it's so concerning, right? The Nazi salute, it's not just a random gesture. It's tied to, to this awful history of hate and violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It symbolizes, the atrocities that the Nazi regime committed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And using it, even if someone doesn't mean it in that way, can be really, triggering and offensive to a lot of people, especially Jewish people and others who were targeted by the Nazis, of course. Right.
And this is where Tyler Gregory's perspective, I think, is really interesting.
Oh, yes. What did he have to say?
So, he's the CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council in San Francisco. And he pretty much said that the gesture, looked bad, that's a quote, and that it was being celebrated by white nationalist groups online. And that, I think, is what really raises the questions about, regardless of Musk's intentions, what kind of message is this sending?
Yeah, that's a really good point. His intention might have been totally different, but the impact, that's what matters, right? Symbols are powerful and their meaning can be shaped by the context and by how people see them.
That's true.
And in this case, the fact that these white nationalist groups are, they're celebrating it, that makes things a lot more complicated and, a lot more concerning, I think, too.
Right. Yeah, it really adds another layer to it. And Musk, he's pushed back. On X, he called the criticism dirty tricks.
Oh, really? Dirty tricks?
Dirty tricks. And that's, I don't think that really helps clear things up, does it?
Not really, no. And it just, it shows how important it is for people in the public eye, especially, to really consider how they respond in these situations, right? A response that sounds, dismissive or defensive can actually just alienate people who are already feeling hurt. And that sort of brings us, I think, to the larger context here of rising anti-Semitism.
Absolutely. That's something we can't ignore. It's a big part of this whole conversation.
Right.
The Anti-Defamation League, they reported a 36% increase in anti-Semitic incidents last year. Just last year.
36%.
36%, yeah. And we're seeing some really disturbing things, graffiti that says things like kill the Jews and flyers with messages like Hitler was right. It's scary.
It's really frightening. And Teresa Drenick, who's the deputy director of the American Jewish Committee, she's pointed out that this isn't just, a few isolated incidents here and there. This is, she actually said that it's a surge in anti-Semitism and the scale of it. We haven't seen anything like this in decades.
Yeah.
And it's, it's becoming normalized. And that is really, really alarming.
It is, yeah. And Drenick also made a point of saying that this can't just be the responsibility of the Jewish community to fight this.
Right.
That we all need to be allies, and that means speaking out against hate speech and prejudice, whenever we see it.
Exactly. It's not just a Jewish problem. This is a societal problem, and it needs a response from all of us. A collective response. And this whole incident with Musk, it just it shows that we all need to be more mindful, think about our actions and how they might impact others, especially in such a sensitive climate.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. So, thinking back to Musk's gesture, even if we say, okay, maybe he didn't intend to cause any harm, the fact is it had an impact.
Right.
And that impact, it can't be separated from the bigger picture of rising anti-Semitism that we've been talking about.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's why this incident is it's so important to examine, right? It makes us ask some really tough questions.
What kind of questions?
Well, like how much weight should we give to someone's intentions versus the actual impact of their actions? Where's the line, And what responsibility do public figures like Elon Musk have to shape these conversations and help to combat hate speech?
Those are big questions.
They are, yeah. They're tough questions and there aren't any easy answers.
Right.
But I mean, hopefully this deep dive has given us all, something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. It's this is a really complex issue, and there aren't any easy answers.
Definitely not.
But hopefully, we've shed some light on it, and encourage everyone to, think about the complexities here and the responsibility that we all have in combating hate and prejudice.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time.
See ya.